So why is it then that some teachers claim this perfect state of enlightenment? And the reason why I think it is, and this is just a theory, I might not be correct about this, but this is my theory. So my theory is, and notice that this me most probably being so humble is dyslexic conditioning, just so you know. Like, if I hadn't had that conditioning, maybe I'd be more forthright. It makes you more like, well, I don't really know. So this is my theory. So we have different personality types. So my personality type is an introvert, and I'm also an empath character. And I mirror people. So when I come in contact with people, I instantly feel other people, and when I'm interacting with them, I'm very sensitive to the other person. So I have very strong empathy chemicals and mirror neurons in my brain. That doesn't make me a good person or better person. It's just a simple biological fact that's evolved and been necessary for our society. And then you get different personality types. And you've got a spectrum of different personality types. You've got personality types that have very little empathy. You have personality types that have medium amount of empathy. You have personality types that have very there's so many different ones, it's hard for me to point it out. You have personality types that have been taught that because they've had parents that had strong empathy, so they've been taught it. And then you've also got personality types that we call psychologically narcissistic personality types. And in the narcissistic personality types, you've got then different categories of personalities. You've got like the psychopath, the sociopath. And none of them are wrong, and none of them are actually any better or worse than being an empath, which is most probably the other extreme of the personality scale. So you've got narcissists on this side, and then the empath on this side, and then you've got all the in between. Now in our society, we tend to be more pro the empath and less pro the narcissistic, and we look at it as bad. But I think that's a very unbalanced view. I think that narcissist personality types have great qualities too. They tend to push society forward. They tend to be leaders. They can be great thinkers. But they've just got, so in our society they've got bad reputations, but they can be many great things because they're not held back by feelings and sensations of empathy, and they're not so confused by feeling other people's feelings and being sensitive to others and looking after the group. It means they can focus more on directing the group and more on doing things. And in a way, if you look at the group of people as like one individual, it's like different qualities of an individual. And you've got part of the personality which doesn't have such strong empathy, so they can focus on achieving goals, getting. And then you've got the other moral conscience of the group that's very concerned about the whole group and how people feel. And actually having those two sides of the spectrum in the group and all the people in the middle is actually a really good thing. It's not bad. But what we know is that people that have more the narcissistic personality, which isn't a bad thing, they have less empathy. They report no feelings of guilt, no feelings of shame. Some, though, they're not sure though, but some do have that very deep down. But some just don't have those types of feelings. They're just not wired to have those types of feelings. And from what I can understand, and from being around some balanced narcissists, not out of balance narcissists, and not psychopaths and sociopaths, but some balanced one, is that they tend not to feel these complicated feelings of empathy, compassion, guilt, shame. And by not feeling that, it means they're less focused on how the people they're interacting with feel, because they can't feel it and they can't imagine that another person feels it. So if we then look at the speaking of enlightenment, the speaking of enlightenment is predominantly going to be spoken by the narcissistic personality type, because that's going to fit in with the leader, with the one that pushes itself forward, and not the empathy type. And it will have some, so it will have some in the middle and some empathy types, but the majority will be of that narcissistic personality type. And the narcissistic personality type, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, and I'm not saying cannot be totally free, it can be totally free, but that narcissistic personality type, of course, is going to say that they have perfect feelings. Of course. They might acknowledge some imperfect feelings, but it's unlikely. They're going to only be focused on the more positive. And they naturally won't be feeling guilt or empathy. And they will be reporting back, and their mind will be fixating on their positive sides. And even if they have negative sides, they'll most probably say that's because they were helping someone else, because that's a narcissistic personality type. They'll say it's because of someone else. They were helping someone else, they were clearing somebody else's energy. They only felt that because it was relevant for the group. So what they'll report back is very positive feelings. Now, in one way, that's really good, because when talking about enlightenment, that's a good thing to do that. It, not eventually, but it's also a good thing because when people often begin to get into this subject, they need to have this daydream that they're going to be godlike in order to be motivated to keep listening. And then the more they get into this subject, the more they begin to accept themselves. So this is my theory as to why we have all these teachings or teachers that say that. And it's not that they're lying in any way, it's just they're wired differently. And I think it's important to talk about, because eventually you've got to love yourself for every freaking quirk that you have, just the way you are. Your tears, your sadness, your neurosis, your anger, just the way you are, totally vulnerable and naked. Not perfect. That's beautiful. That's not a negative thing, it's really beautiful and compassionate. And see what that does in you. Like, see what I say does in you. Does it make you feel disappointed because you want to be this perfect person? You want to get rid of bits of yourself? And you can strive to update the conditioning. I always strive to be a better person, to expand, to grow, to be better. In every area. Well, sometimes cleaning the house is not my, but I'm striving, I do strive, I have it on my targets to be tidier. I'm not super messy actually, I actually like cleanness and I like being tidy. It's just I don't like doing it so much. But I strive for that. We strive for it. And this big messy blob that's here isn't mine. That's Khaleesi's. That's her toy basket. That's her hippo's butt there. Which is a hippo. You see there's the hippo's pink dress and pink booties. And that's its grey arse. I'm just now currently poking it in the arse. And then we got her rope there. That messy bucket's not mine. Okay, well, that's a very, very long introduction. Pardon me. I strive not to pass gas on live streams, but it sometimes occurs. Because guess what? I'm not perfect. Oh my God, it's so beautiful.